Hello everyone, how is it going? So today we're gonna go to the nursery, one, because I'm super bored, lockdown got me like, and two, because I need to totally set up this garden or else it'll never get done. So we're gonna head over to the nursery, we're gonna come back home, and then I'm gonna show you guys what plants I got, how I plant everything, how I kind of organize my garden, give you guys some tips along the way, and that's all I have planned for this video. So let's get to the nursery and then I'll meet you guys back at home. Before we go, I want to show you guys what I already planted earlier because I was super bored and I realized I should really stop and get out my video camera. So that's all that I've really done so far. I just kind of worked on these two crates only. So I have three kinds of bell peppers right here. We have the yellow bell peppers, red and red bell peppers here, and then over here, all jalapenos. This is my boyfriend's doing. Anyways, now let's go to the nursery. Okay guys, gardening tip number one, bring your own box. You will see why in a moment, but it's very, very important that you guys bring your own box to the nursery. This is from my last little haul, but anyways, bring your own box. Okay, so I just got back from the nursery and I got a bunch of good stuff that I'm going to show you right now. But first, I want to give you guys like some prelims of what I use in my garden to plant the plants. So what I've been using for the past 2 years are these little storage bins. I know you guys saw them earlier, but somebody commented on them when I posted them on Instagram. Yes, these are basic storage backyard containers. I remember my mom used to use these to put like our old pool equipment in them. So it's very, very basic, balling on a budget. I just kind of bought these because they were the cheapest thing that was at Home Depot a few years ago. So yeah, now we're just gonna go through and put all the plants in. I'm gonna show you what I got too, but this is so funny. I found this the other day as I was cleaning out my garden. This is a tomato, a little mini tomato. Last year I made the mistake of planting my tomato plant way too late in the year, so right as the tomatoes were starting to grow and they were still green, getting ready to turn red, it was freezing weather, so that was totally a waste. So another gardening tip is do not plant your tomatoes too late in the year. It doesn't work. So I want to show you guys everything that I just got. So this is kind of what we're working with. We got a good selection of goodies going on here. So we have some edible plants in here and some not so edible plants. So obviously you guys can see the succulents. I'm trying to get back into my succulent game. Flowers for pollination, you know, just cheap old things, literally like, I think this one was $2, this is like $1. Just try to keep flowers around to keep the bees coming back, if there's any bees left. But anyways, we have some tomatoes here. I have citronella, of course, the mosquitoes. Anyone who is close to me knows mosquitoes are a huge issue for me. Tomatoes, more bell peppers, cilantro, blueberries. Actually, this is my first year ever planting blueberries, so we're gonna see how this goes. Hopefully I'm successful. 1 like equals 1 successful vote for my blueberries. We have some squash and zucchini here, 2 of each, and a citronella candle. But anyways, this is kind of what we are working with, all the new, besides all the stuff that I already planted. And also, that's why I told you guys to make sure you guys bring in a box to the nursery, because that is how you're going to transport your plants in and out of that place. My box broke right as I entered my backyard, so make sure you bring a well-enabled box. Now we're just gonna go in and plant everything. So I'll connect with you guys after I'm done planting to tell you guys how I organize my garden. Let's get started. this out. Look at those, these are all roots. That is absolutely crazy. This guy was totally ready to be planted, and I am so honored to be the human to plant him. Okay guys, so I have everything in the garden. I have all the plants planted. I'm gonna go through and show you what I have planted, what order, and how I organized everything. So let me show you what we're working with for this year. Okay, so you guys kind of already saw this. So these are all the jalapenos. This is the first storage bin. I put in a new flower over there in the left corner. The lady who I learned gardening from told me that it's good to have flowers around to keep the bees coming, so that's why I try to keep at least 1 to 2 flowers around my garden area at all times. So these are the jalapenos. And then over here I have all the bell peppers. So I have 4 different bell pepper plants. I have 1 yellow, 2 red, and 1 green, and they're just gonna all share this one area because these puppies grow pretty big. One thing that I learned last year is that they do take up a lot of space, so this is a good amount. 4 is where I'm gonna stop here for this bin, and if you are also using a bin to plant your bell peppers as well, I wouldn't put in more than 4 plants. I would not do that, and you'll see why when you do it. Okay, and then over here we have 2 tomato plants. So I think I got the Better Bush tomatoes and then Roma tomatoes. So those are 2 tomato plants that I'm working with for this year. And then I also planted a zucchini plant over there in the far right corner. Again, I did not want to overcrowd these bins. Tomatoes get pretty big and zucchinis get super big. They grow out of the bin normally. They get like ridiculously ginormous. So 3 is enough for tomatoes and zucchini. And then in the last one I have more squash plants. So I have 2 squash over there in the right corner, and then I have 1 zucchini over there in the left. And again, I would not put more than 3 squash or zucchini plants near each other because they get huge, and we will see that in a few months. Now down here we have all of the herbs and then some more flowers and a fruit actually. So I have spearmint in this bucket, cilantro in this bucket, and I want to talk about herbs really quick. So with planting herbs, what I found is that you want to plant them in their own individual little pots because sometimes too much sun isn't good for them, especially in the summer. I live in the valley, totally fries the herbs. So I like to move them around and keep them mobile so I can move them into the shade when necessary. Now, this is my first time ever growing blueberries, and I'm super nervous about it because I just don't know what to do. I'm definitely gonna, what is that noise? Oh, those are my shoes. You guys wanna see something crazy? What the, what the heck? These are coming off. These, I can't deal with that. Okay. Anyways, this is my first year ever planting blueberries. I have no idea how this is going to work out. I hope it goes well. And I hope I gave it enough space in this little 3-gallon, I think this is a 3-gallon, yeah, in this little 3-gallon pot. I hope it has enough space in here to grow. Again, this is totally a trial and error sort of thing. I've never planted blueberries in my life. And last but not least, we have a little flower plant. These are super cheap flowers. I do not go too expensive on the flowers because they are here for one purpose only, and that is to keep the bees coming back to my garden. So that is basically all that we're working with for this year so far. Who knows, I may head back to the store and get a few more things. I can't think off the top of my head what I need. Oh yeah, I can, I just remembered. I definitely want to get some watermelon plants, some melon plants. That's definitely happening. And I just remembered 2 plants I totally forgot to show you guys that I got. So 2 more things. Okay, so I totally went ahead and bought the strawberry plant. Totally had to buy it, and of course I bought the one with 1 little strawberry almost ripe and ready to go. Total cheater. But anyways, it has plenty of babies that are already starting to grow, so this should be easy to maintain. Just gotta keep strawberries in constant sunlight and give them plenty of water. Last year, I made the mistake of planting my strawberries in one of the bins, and it got overcrowded by my bell pepper and pepper plants, so it never got any sun, and it was a total fail. I got like 2 strawberries out of it, so don't make that mistake. So far, I'm totally recommending everyone get a hanging plant. They definitely need their own personal space. And I can relate to that. Maybe I was a strawberry in my past life. Okay, the last thing we are working with here, I got a hanging, the citronella. You can never have too much. I'm just obsessed with citronella this year. It's not the prettiest, most flattering plant, but mosquitoes have gotten out of control in the valley. I sent a few of my friends a picture of my torso. It was covered in mosquito bites last week. Like, I was itching all over. I had to go out for the first time in like years and buy vegan anti-itch cream because I was just like going to tear my skin apart. Mosquitoes are terrible. So I have 2 citronella plants this year to keep me nice and safe. And again, I just have to show you my aesthetic little succulent collection. Like, look at how fun this is. For the record, these are not my first succulents. I have always been into succulents, and my mom, my shady mom, if you're watching this, I need my succulents back. She took them when I moved back in with her after coming home from college, and I want them back. I need them back because they're getting so big. I have like an aloe plant that's actually purple. Hopefully, if she ever gives them back to me, I'll be able to show you guys, so we'll see. Now let's chat. So you're probably worried right now if you've never had a garden at home, like, are the plants actually gonna grow? Like, what do I have to do? What do I have to buy? Do I have to buy extra Miracle-Gro powder or spray to magically make the plants grow? You absolutely do not have to do that. I almost made that mistake my first year planting a garden, but like I said, I had a little gardening mentor and she gave me like step-by-step guidance of how to have a successful garden, and not once in the 3 years that I've been gardening have I needed any sort of Miracle-Gro or powder to make the plants grow. Literally, just put the plants in the garden, remember to water them, make sure they have sunlight, and the plants will grow. I absolutely promise you. Now, when it comes time for you to get your plants, you can get them from a few different sources. What I like to do is I usually like to get mine from a private source. So like I mentioned, I have a gardening mentor. Unfortunately, this year I couldn't take advantage of her services because of this whole pandemic thing that we're going through right now. The whole world's basically locked down on quarantine, so I do not want to be rude and say, hey lady, do you want to break your quarantine and let me come over so I could buy some plants off of you? So I just went ahead and went to a nursery. I went to a few different places all in all. I think the first day I went to Home Depot's nursery, and then the next day I went to Lowe's. My town does have some little small business nurseries, and I've just never been to them. I didn't even think of them until after I went to Lowe's, which is totally my bad. So my first recommendation is that you try to find a local nursery to go to. If you have one in your town, definitely go there. They're probably going to be a lot more personal with you, and they're going to answer a lot of questions that you may have about gardening if you are new to the process. Otherwise, if you don't have access to a nursery, you can always go to Lowe's or Home Depot or any home and garden store. They always have fruits and vegetables available and different plants available around this time of year. And I'm pretty sure if you ask an attendant there, they'll help you. But you have access to YouTube and the internet, and you can find answers to any questions you may have on the internet. So remember, you always have the internet as a source. As far as soil that you'll need for your garden, I just use a regular potting soil that I'll show you guys at the end of the video. This is from Garden Kellogg's Organic Raised Bed and Potting Mix. Super basic. I think soil is super important. So of course I bought some soil from the store, but I actually do composting as well, which I will show you guys in another video, my whole process for composting. But just to start with the garden, like start the garden off, I like to use the store-bought soil just to make sure everything starts off on the right foot. And I'm kind of new to composting, so I don't like really want to take any risks there. I don't know, I'm kind of like self-taught composting. Everything that I've learned about composting, I've kind of had to learn on my own. So far it's been super successful, but you never know. Sorry, I wanted to be a little bit closer to you guys. Hope you don't mind. But anyways, how I like to buy my plants. So as you guys can see, all the plants that I bought are already pre-sprouted. So somebody else basically already planted the seeds and germinated them and got them growing for me. So that's super nice, and I found that to be a super easy way to garden, especially if you're a newbie, a beginner. Definitely buy your plants sprouted. Otherwise, you'll have to go through the whole planting the seeds, germinating process, which of course is a successful way of gardening. People have done that for thousands and thousands of years, but that also takes just a little bit more time and effort and money because you have to buy the little seedling little farm thingy, and I just like to kind of skip that step if I can. So I buy my plants already pre-sprouted, and I definitely recommend that you do that as well, especially if you are a beginner at gardening. And while I'm grabbing my sprouted plants, I do prefer to buy organic. Obviously, if I have access to organic, I will always buy the organic option. Otherwise, if there's only conventional, I just settle for the conventional, no big deal. I think I have like only 3 plants in here right now that are conventional. Everything else is organic. So there definitely is organic options out there and available. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but I'm going to bring it up again just so nothing gets left in the dark. Buy some flowers, okay? If you're trying to have your own garden, you need to bring the bees to your garden and pollinating your flowers. So make sure that you buy at least a few little flowers. Don't have to be anything extravagant. Like I said, mine were super cheap. I think the white one and the yellow one were like $1 each. So don't go balls out on the plants. Just buy some flowers to keep the bees coming back to your garden. Another tip is when you're planting everything, if you are using storage bins, I know I mentioned this earlier, but I'm gonna bring it up again. Make sure you give all the plants enough space to grow. Last year, I made the mistake of planting everything way too close together, so I ended up having to take a few of the plants out and replanting them, and a few died, so I wasted a little bit of moolah there. But yeah, make sure you give your plants plenty of space to grow far and in between. I guess I should tell you how much I spent on this whole process here. So last year, I bought all the bins and stuff last year, all the storage bins, so I don't know how much that costs. I looked on Amazon though, and they range anywhere from like 25 to 45 bucks. I only have 4 here. I cannot remember how much I bought mine for though. And soil's always usually cheap. It could be like 8 to 12 bucks depending on the bag that you're getting. Again, I always get organic soil, so that's a little bit more expensive. But the plants usually range from about $2 to $3 each, especially if you're already buying them sprouted, which is why a lot of people probably buy the seed version, because it's obviously a little bit more cheap to buy the seeds, but it does take a little bit more work. So you just put that extra $1 forward and you get your plants already pre-sprouted, which is really nice. It's what I prefer. Now, after you've gotten your plants all ready to go and you're at home and you're planting everything, I think that whole process that you guys saw, literally it took me like less than 40 minutes. Literally less than 40 minutes to put everything in. I already had the soil already organized. I already had the bins already in place. I had everything ready, so for me to just put all the plants in the garden only took about 40 minutes, and I was alone. So if you have a husband or wife or kids, definitely get your kids involved if you have kitties, and you'll get it done pish posh, 15 minutes like nothing. And once you have everything planted, be sure to wet everything down. So if you have a little watering hose or a little watering bucket, go through and water all the plants. It kind of helps them just settle into the soil. And you'll notice a few days after you plant the plants, don't worry if your plants go limp. It's completely normal as you're transferring from the pot that they come into the actual garden. It's very normal for your plants to go limp for a few days, like no more than like 3 days. They'll just be a little bit limp. Once they settle into the new soil, they'll grow up nice and strong, and then eventually they'll start to produce. So don't worry if your plants are limp after you transfer them into the garden. Do not worry, they are okay. I'm really racking my brain over here. I think I'm getting to the last few tips. So another tip is do not over water. Obviously, you'll know if you're over watering. If your plants start to die, they start to wilt after a while. Do not over water, especially if you're planting earlier in the springtime. It's super chill outside right now. Like, it's not too sunny during the day. But yeah, just make sure you don't overwater your garden. There's probably plenty YouTube videos showing you what overwatering your garden looks like, so I highly recommend you look into those, or you just don't overwater. But with that being said, also do not forget to water. You need to water your plants. Last 2 tips, then I'll let you guys go. Make sure that wherever you place your bin, before you put all the soil in, that it has direct sunlight, that you're not putting it underneath a tree or somewhere against a fence where it's not gonna get enough sunlight throughout the day. Make sure that you move your bins into a place where there is plenty of sunlight. And the last tip, I actually have to get up for this one. Okay, so for this last tip, if you guys discover as you're going through with your whole gardening process that the bugs start to come and you start to get aphids, the little white bugs underneath your leaves, which is super severe, that's not a good look. In order to prevent that from ever happening, to prevent bugs and snails and everything, all the things from coming into your garden and ruining your plants, you have to get this powder. This is called diatomaceous earth. I've talked about this before in my last video about in-home composting. This will save your life with keeping the bugs away. I literally can tell the difference from one day to the next. If I don't use this, and then the next day if I use this, the bugs are literally gone. It doesn't necessarily kill the bugs, okay? It's not that violent. It just kind of keeps the bugs away. I don't know how, it's like magic. But even in my composting bin outside, oh my gosh, This stuff is literally, I swear by it, like it literally from one day to the next we get all of the little fruit flies, everything out of there. So I definitely swear by this powder. If you are starting your at-home garden, you just need to get this off the bat. You have to get this. This is mandatory, like seriously mandatory for at-home gardening. And as soon as I'm done with this video, I'm gonna go through and sprinkle the plants right away. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I had for this video. I hope I did not miss anything. I know I'm gonna think of more tips as I go along with this whole process, so if you guys catch me in another video later on, I'll probably be dropping more tips down the road of more gardening success tips. The biggest takeaway that you need to take away from this video is if you are actually taking that step into starting your very first garden, or if you're getting back into gardening, remember just to be patient, okay? Nature likes to take its own time, it's on its own little schedule. If you plant the plants, you make sure you have good soil, you give them their water, and you give them the sun, they will produce for you, okay? But you just have to be patient. It's not a one day to the next sort of ordeal, unfortunately, as much as we'd all like it to. Like I said, nature runs on its own schedule. So just plant your stuff, give it water, give it time, and your fruits and veggies will come. And that is it for this video. I think I got everything off of my chest. Be sure to let me know in the comments down below how you like this video, and share with me a few of your own garden success tips. What do you do to have a successful producing garden? Share with us, okay? I like to learn from you just like how you love to learn from me. So until the next video, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Peace.